Snipers, you have to see what's happening in the cryptocurrency market this Thursday as we head towards the end of the week. Bitcoin is showing weakness right now below the $34,788 resistance level. This is an extremely important area, and it's no coincidence that the monthly open that just reset today and the weekly open is at this $34,800 level. I want to talk about why this level is so important, what it means for Bitcoin, and with today's daily candle so far showing a bearish continuation, potentially coming towards this $29,000 level. It looks like Bitcoin is aiming towards this area. I want to talk about the potential downside scenarios I'm watching for Bitcoin, how that's going to affect the altcoin market, and then we'll look at traditional markets, because the reason Bitcoin is down today is the DXY is pushing up with the new monthly open as well. We're seeing a test of 92.62. If this level breaks for the DXY, which is the strength of the US dollar, there is a big range here to the 93.82 area that we could see strength here for the dollar. That would be extremely detrimental for Bitcoin and traditional markets and commodities, because when the US dollar value comes up, for those that have been tuned into the Cypress channel for quite a while, you know, the value of assets come down. So we're going to be monitoring this DXY chart after Jerome Powell announced that interest rates towards 2023 are going to raise. That's when we saw this rocket start to launch just a few days ago. And so this is an extremely important Thursday heading into Friday, and then the weekend where the cryptocurrency markets are the most manipulated. We need to talk about what's happening to Bitcoin, because the fact of the matter is, I'm going to be the umpire, as I always am for you snipers, giving you guys a neutral perspective. We came towards this 50-day moving average. We weren't able to test it. You can see we saw a reversal before the 50-day moving average. That's a sign of weakness. And so the fact of the matter is the bears are still in the driver's seat. The next support level is going to be the channel support around this $29,000 to $28,000 range. And we also know that we have the $26,000 level, the $24,000 level, and the $20,000 level, where there's going to be a lot of volume, because below 30,000, there is clearly volume on the 6-hour chart. Every time we've come below the $30,000 level, you can see a lot of buyers come in with no sellers to match the amount of buyers below 30,000. I want to talk about why this weekend could be a prime opportunity to enter a Bitcoin position if we see sell side pressure below 30,000, where we know institutions are going to start looking to enter positions in the high $20,000 range, potentially towards this channel support at 29,000 to 28,000. I want to talk about the downside and upside scenario, because obviously we're in the middle of this channel, and so that means that the price could go either way. You guys are watching the Snipers channel on a Thursday. My name is Naeem. Remember to smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm and turn on your post notifications. You'll have a chance to win Principles by Ray Dalio. Just comment your favorite altcoin. I want to first dive straight into this Bitcoin analysis. We'll talk about Ethereum and altcoins and how altcoins are going to be reacting to Bitcoin's price action. And then, of course, we'll look at traditional markets as we always do, with Bitcoin back inside towards the apex of the symmetrical triangle. Another bull trap with this head and shoulder pattern forming over the last 2 days. We are seeing the break to the downside. I told you guys, 34,788. That's the important level. There's no coincidence the monthly and weekly open are now at this level. We have to address the fact that this is a new monthly candle forming, and so far, last month's candle was an indecision candle, and so we're still playing at the lower end of this wick. There is this major gap to 26,000. Are we going to see another test to the downside before we see a push to the upside? That's on the table for this month. I want to talk about what we're going to watch on the weekly time frame, because everything morphs from the smaller time frames into the larger time frames. That's a principle that works from the 1-minute chart to the 2-minute chart to the 5-minute chart to the 15-minute chart to the 4-hour chart to the daily chart to the weekly chart, and then what happens on the weekly chart morphs into the monthly chart. It's the beauty of understanding technical analysis. And when we look at the weekly candle, last week we did see this bullish tail, but we closed red. And the fact of the matter is, so far we have a bearish tail with this week's candle heading back towards this 50-week moving average at 30,000 US dollars. It looks like there's a potential Bitcoin wants to come down, test this channel support again around the $29,000 level, but don't be surprised if we don't get there, because remember guys, we know on the 6-hour chart, there is a lot of volume below 30,000. So when we address the downside scenario today, and people are going to be asking, all right, where do you think the best entries are? Well, let's look at this $30,000 level. If Bitcoin comes down to 30,000, we know there's volume below this area. We need to see a lot of sell side volume if we want to break 30,000. We know there's a lot of buy pressure in this zone. In my opinion, as I mentioned a week ago, it would be foolish not to have entries at 26,000, 24,000, 20,000, just in case a wick comes down into this area. But for the downside scenario below 32,000, which is the triangle support, if we get below 32,000 hourly and 4-hour candles, I at least believe the least severe scenario that we're going to see is the fact that we can at least come down to this channel support, come right below 30,000 again, maybe at 28,000. This is the least severe scenario. I'll put it in yellow. Now, the most severe scenario, in my opinion, would be more sell side pressure coming in at 30,000. We know there's a lot of volume down at these lower areas, so there's gonna have to be a wick. And so I think the worst case scenario is we could see a wick all the way down to the $20,000 area, but don't be surprised to see the volume come in at the $26,000 range, the $24,000 range, and the $20,000 range. That's where really solid entries are going to be if we see this downside scenario play out. So there's the red and yellow scenario, the most severe and least severe for this downside so far. Now, when it comes to the upside, just get above the $34,788 level Bitcoin. Now we have the weekly and monthly open here. Now we can start talking about upside scenarios. But the fact of the matter is we didn't test the 50-day moving average. We rejected it before we even got to test it. That's a sign of weakness. We've yet to test it throughout this downtrend. And that, in umpire's point of view, says that Bitcoin wants to test some lower levels. That's what I'm looking at for Bitcoin. Of course, the overall markets are going to follow. Ethereum coming up in Bitcoin dominance over the last 3 days, just like we've been talking about on the Cypress channel. Are altcoins following this trend? Absolutely. MakerDAO up already over 35%. Altcoins are the opportunity right now in Q3 and Q4. Even if Bitcoin comes down, notice how we've already gained ourselves a safety cushion with Ethereum moving up in Bitcoin price. It was worth 0.5 Bitcoin. Now it's worth 0.63 of a Bitcoin. If Bitcoin comes down, the Ethereum US dollar price, once again, is at a very sensitive area at this 200-day moving average. I believe the best entries are still below 1760 to 1440. Anytime price gets below this area, I think that would be a solid opportunity to be getting into Ethereum. So that's what I'm watching for the downside. For the upside, we've really come up to test this 2240 area. I told you guys a 4-hour confirmation means we go to the moon, but guess what? We didn't get the 4-hour confirmation. That's why our levels are so important on this channel. So the fact that we've yet to get a 4-hour above 24 or 2240, it puts the upside scenario off the table for now. We're going to come and test this weekly open at 1980. I don't know if that's going to be the best time to be entering because Bitcoin's already way in below the weekly open. And so Ethereum has the chance of getting below there too if Bitcoin really does truly see some downside pressure. Total cryptocurrency market cap chart with altcoins performing stronger than Bitcoin. I think it's fine between 1.13 trillion and 1.47 trillion. A break of either of those levels are going to assume more volume coming into the market to the same direction of what level we're talking about. So 1.13 trillion, we break to the downside. 1.4 trillion, we break to the upside. Others dominance, maintaining 12.2. That's exactly what we want to assume, that we're going to see a reversal here. The most bullish chart in crypto right now is others dominance, never testing the 200-day moving average throughout this whole bear market. And then Bitcoin dominance still showing signs of weakness. Now, traditional markets heading into Friday, DXY pushing up, still a rocket here. We break 92.62. Emergency lights come on. Be careful. That means the dollar value is really changing. That's a lot of volatility for the DXY. Big range here above 92.62. That's not just going to be detrimental for cryptocurrency. That'll be detrimental for traditional markets, even gold, right? Which we're already seeing the effects of this with gold already at 1775, reversing back down, failing to break out, possibly coming towards 1700. S&P 500 forming new all-time highs every day, right? That's going to end if that DXY breaks. So let's continue to watch this. You guys are watching the Snipers channel. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you. I want to give away Principles by Ray Dalio to one of you. Comment below, share this video. You'll have a chance to win this video. Let's go ahead and see here. We'll pick Mr. Wally says, you've been all over those numbers, Naeem. Great, sensible analysis as always. It's all about the numbers. That's why it's so important to trade using buy stops, buy limits, buy orders. There's different trading styles for breakouts, breakdowns, for instant entries, trend reversals, price action, scalp trading. It's all about the numbers. The numbers count. There's a reason the monthly and weekly open at 34,788, right? That's because our numbers here on the Cypress channel are extremely important. The only level below this now is 26,000. This is a big range. Dangerous game to play. That's why we're talking about the downside scenarios right now. It's not a coincidence Ethereum US dollar price didn't get 4-hour confirmations above 2240. The technical analysis works. And with that, thank you all for tuning in today. Until next time, snipers